to today's episode of Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Arut Sheva. And the show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube, type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can take a look at a lot of our previous episodes with Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Dr. Gerald Schroeder, Rabbi Ken Spurrow, and much, much more. On the line right now, a frequent contributor to this program, a very popular guest from Somazal.com, Rabbi David Katz. Rabbi, how you doing out there?
Shvua Tov, Ari. Good to be here, and let's get started.
Yes, now, a lot of people listening, if you've been following politics, you may be a little confused. There's a lot of confusing things going on, especially in the religious circle, the religious element of politics. Let's first get a beginning grasp of what exactly is going on. We understand there's a lot of infighting between the religious elements of the political parties in Israel.
When I went to get my Shabbos food on Friday morning, I just heard good, what I consider to be good news about Naftali Bennett. And I'm thinking, young, cool guy, Naftali Bennett, all these things. And the guys I buy catering food in Shabbos, they're like a young crowd. And I said, hey, do you guys like politics? I never, it's, how when you're on stage in comedy and no one laughs at your joke.
Right.
The whole room was, no. And I sure, but sure you do, partner. And no one likes it anymore, and this is why. It's already beyond. It's out of control, and the things that they're arguing about, who can keep up with it? Because remember, what the most unique thing about Israel is, and I am going on record. This is the most unique thing, and we are a Zionist country, whatever that means, however it means to you. If you simply live here because you like falafel, you're a Zionist in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And what's interesting is Jews do things different than everybody else. We know that. But the politics of Israel are governed by the views of how we should operate in the land of Israel. Right? It's not about, do I think that non-Jews should live here? Check yes or no. That's not the question. The question is whether you're a politician or rabbi, whether where you view the Torah. But the bottom line is the Jewish people in the land of Israel, is that for or against non-Jews living in the land? And so that's how they're going to view it. That's how they're going to discuss it. Personal opinions don't come into play. It's really representing something bigger. And obviously, you can't tell the secular this, but Torah is what it's about. The secular will say the Torah never had that in mind. Herzl knew better than you. And welcome to Israel Politics 101.
That's for sure. Now let's talk about Ari Deri, because he resigned from his position in Shas, and apparently there was a video of Rav Ovadia Yosef chastising him, and now it looks like Ari Deri's coming back. There are a lot of people in that party that want him back. Tell us what exactly is going on.
Did you ever see the comedian Pablo Francisco?
A little bit, yes. I've heard of the name.
Like, he's back.
Right.
One thing left to prove. Ari Deri is they
can make a movie
back in Knesset.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It's like a bad B movie.
Yeah, it does.
That's so bad. But the reason why it's a bad B movie, I mean, you can complain about the Clintons and Bushes all you want. But you're bringing in like bad Haredi Judaism politics in one nasty, overcooked Shabbos cholent. I mean, that's what it is. Because Deri was convicted. What was it? I forget which bribery. Right. So he was in jail. He was the number one to Ovadia Yosef. Who's Ovadia Yosef? So I mean, the whole storyline goes well beyond most people's, whatever they know, just because it doesn't make the airwaves. What the roots to these equations are. So Ovadia Yosef is the founder of Shas Party, and that goes back to when the state of Israel was entirely Ashkenazi. There were no Sephardim here in the early years of the country.
Right.
So there's a bunch of angry socialist white guys running around a desert, and the Sephardim were like held in captivity in the Arab lands, not literally captivity, but there's going to be a mass exodus, right? Of several, was it millions? How many was it? Like the first Aliyah, second Aliyah, whatever it is, in the 50s, all the Arab lands dumped out. The Jewish people, they left willingly, but now they're saying they wish they wouldn't have left. So,
Right.
but all the Sephardim came towards the 50s and 60s. So now it's like all of a sudden you're from Poland, you just survived Krakow, and now your neighbor is a Moroccan. So it was a very strange demographic, and the politics were all old white guy Ashkenazi, right? Like your Zaidi was the prime minister.
It's true. All prime ministers have been Ashkenaz. There's not been one Sephardi prime minister.
That's it. And like when I look at the pictures, I see my grandfather with his leg draped over the armrest, saying, put your nose to the grindstone. Right?
Ben Gurion had that grandfather look about him. I didn't agree with everything he said, but yeah, he kind of looked like a grandfather.
They were all the old Ashkenazi guy.
Right.
And so the Sephardim came, and there were issues in the land. Okay, granted that. But the point is, Sephardi came back to prominence with Haredi Sephardishkeit.
Right.
Right, we view the Rambam with his robe and the turban from the pictures, and even if that was the way it was in Europe by the Ashkenazim, whatever it's worth, we understand the Ashkenazi guy wears the business suit and carries the Talmud wherever he goes. That's just the stereotype, right? But the Ashkenazi is your business-looking rabbi, and the Sephardi was a couple hundred years ago wearing robes and turbans. They came back. That's not literal. This is really gross, kind of over.
Right, but that's the stereotype.
Stereotype.
Yeah.
And so Avadia Yosef, he rose to prominence in Torah, and well worthy of that. I think he beat some kind of like computer and some halachic race, kind of like with the chess thing. And who was it? Which guy was it in chess?
Deep Blue. Well, they beat Deep Blue.
Deep Blue.
Yeah.
And so Avadia Yosef is our version of Deep Blue and the chess master. He comes back and he stands up in Torah, and he is rivaling any Ashkenazi, hero, and he's going to start the Shas party. Shas, by the way, is what you call the entire Talmud, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, Shas in initial letters. He starts the Shas party, and they're going to rise to prominence. The Sephardim are going to have a total turnaround. Instead of being looked down upon for not learning Torah, they're going to go Haredi. Not all of them, but enough of them. They have substantial numbers. They want to look like a business guy in a suit too. I'm against that, but in terms of why they're doing it, but okay. And you're going to have a revival of Sephardi presence in Torah. It's going to go over into politics. Avadia Yosef is the head guy, calling the shots from what he's going to call Torah's emes, truth of Torah. And I don't know the exact beginnings of the relationship. Aryeh Deri is going to come in there. He's their poster boy for being an eloquent speaker. Maybe that's code for he looks and sounds Ashkenazi enough that we can win. And there's going to be a lot of shady stuff going with money and bribery, Oslo Accords, and the drama goes to where last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, he left the Shas party. Remember, Avadia Yosef died a couple years ago, and there was in-house fighting, and now our hero has come back with his cape, and he is going to lead the Shas party to prominence. That's where we are, Adkan.
Right. Rav Vadia, his York site, the one-year anniversary was about a month ago, 1 month and a half, and so there's been a lot of turmoil since he left. Real quick, I need to correct myself. Deep Blue won. He was not beaten. I just want to put that out there. Again, this is a Prophecy on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva, and the show is Messiah Hour on YouTube. Email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. Now you have this...
Bobby Fischer would have taken that.
I think so, yeah. I think he would have done it. We would never know, but hopefully he would have. Now... There's a lot of turmoil, extra turmoil, since the passing of Rabbi Vadia, and now there are different factions in Shas. So talk about the political side of Shas and their rabbinical factions.
So again, I'm not totally, there's so much to know. I'll give you an example of what this is. My brother's in banking in New York, and I'm always trying to probe his world, and I'm saying hey, if you knew the money in this in the country, this exchange, and that, would you kind of like if you knew what was going on everywhere, what would you be called? And if I knew what the franc was to the yen and this, what would you be called? He says, Dave, that's called an economist. If you knew every currency, every up and down, right? So I guess a politician, for that, would be he who knows the politics global. I guess you call it the king of the world. And if you really knew, I mean, it's enough that you try to know your own city politics or your own Facebook politics. But to understand Israeli politics, American politics, that's an art form. We call that entertainment. You call it, the Sunday weekly show, whatever TV show you watch. So to know and exhaust Israeli politics, that's why I got bombed when I brought this up on Friday morning. But to try to help things and give it over a little bit, I'm not trying to be exhaustive. That's my point. I'm not a master of this. I don't claim to be. I'm just interested in it. But on one foot, we know that Shas is split. Eli Yishai, right? He's going to take over the split from Shas. I don't know what he's calling his new group, so don't hold me to that. But you have Aryeh Deri is coming back to take over Shas. If that even happens, maybe he'll go back again. Footage is coming out that we have blamed the Vadia Yosef for agreeing with Oslo of land for peace, and now it's coming out that he was against it, and it was Aryeh Deri's dream child to do land for peace. So that's a question, since he's dead, Vadia Yosef, and he's not here to answer himself. So there's your that's the biggest part of your Sephardi world. Then you have your normative politics have been around since the Stone Age, Likud, Labor. You have your new Dean Martin kind of guy, Naftali Bennett. Young and smooth, and he's an entrepreneur. We like to say that word, don't we?
Right.
He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he made a lot of money. We're interested in that. We're just...
This is the one where it's like when you meet a guy who says that, what do you do for a living? I'm an entrepreneur. Like, yeah. Okay. But he has started some kind of startup company. Parents are American, so he speaks the English. And I'm torn on the guy, but I don't want to see Netanyahu in again. We're all kind of feeling that. Then you have your leftists in Tzipi Livni. She teamed up with our boy Yitzi Herzog. Is his name Herzog?
Yeah, I believe so.
They're trying to. That's a scary one because they get a lot of numbers, and if you have enough dumb people together, they can add up to a nice number. So being left for the sake of left, that's kind of scary. Israel Beitenu, Lieberman and his hardcore right-wing radical devoid of Torah views. I believe he has left Likud, which is Benjamin Netanyahu, and he went with a new bunch. I'm not sure how significant they are. Then you have your guy playing a politician on TV in Yair Lapid, right? He looks like that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know what he's into. I think he just wants to kill as many people as possible without drawing actual blood, but just wants to be a nudnik.
Right.
Then you have your real toxic area, United Torah Judaism. Why is it toxic? Because if we're going to get into, they're fighting more than anybody. Bottom line is, we have our old guys, our old friends, our new guys. You have the guys that go right, the guys that go left. Some people are friends for now. Some people will be friends tomorrow. Some people will be enemies tomorrow. You have bad Torah, good Torah, no Torah, good Zionism, no Zionism, bad Zionism, all thrown in one room of men and women trying to save the Jewish people.
Interesting stuff, and Tzipi Livni and Herzog could get a lot of votes. Tzipi Livni, when she ran for prime minister about 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I should say, she actually got more votes than Netanyahu, but she could not fulfill or form a government, so she was not the prime minister in the end. Now, let's talk about the rabbinic side of Bnei Brak, because many people consider it the most religious city in Israel. Some say even more religious than Jerusalem. So let's talk about that side, the rabbinic side of Bnei Brak.
Just realize that statement that you just made means it's the most religious city on the planet. And that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, if it is. If it's the most religious city in Israel, then it's the most religious city on the planet, no doubt.
That's it. Bnei Brak is what it is. So the founders of it, and again, this is an overgeneralization. Do not write emails like, no, it's not. Moshe Cohen founded it. No. The biggest rabbinic authorities, going back, that we want to focus on, the Chazon Ish and Kanievsky, the Stipler. So the Chazon Ish, it's like a famous joke in yeshivas. It's like, hey, what's the minimum measurement for a sukkah? The Chazon Ish says 4 amas. Oh, okay. I'm not really sure what an amma. I mean, most people. I don't know what an amma is. I don't know who the Chazon Ish was, but I guess we'll be having Sukkot this year. Okay.
Right. Yes.
So the Chazon Ish was famous. He was a famous rabbi in Bnei Brak. I think in the 1950s was towards the end of his life, whatever it was. But his work was called the Chazon Ish. And he was a big guy in measurements and a lot of things with the state of Israel now back in effect for the Jewish people. So he was instrumental in the budding state and the results that would come about of that. He's going to live in Bnei Brak, and his sister, right, is going to marry the Stipler Gaon, Rav Kanievsky. The Stipler is one of my favorite guys of all time. He's anybody that loves serious Talmudics. The Stipler is your guy. He wrote a work called Koheles Yaakov. Now the Stipler is he's one of your original aesthetics, right? He's gonna keep it low key. The Chazon Ish is more out there, and the Rav Kanievsky of today is the son of the Stipler Gaon. Again, he's not trying to take big headlines, but he is probably, in terms of yichus, i.e. relationship with his father, probably the biggest guy left on the planet. Being that he knew, just to even know or see the Stipler Gaon, his father. So he's coming in now to the arena of politics, and to complete this little story, a couple of years ago also, we lost, we know about Yosef, we also lost Rav Eliashiv, the preeminent Torah authority, Lithuanian Talmudic scholarship. And when he goes, you're going to have this whole Degel Torah, a faction of, United Torah Judaism, whatever it's called, going to be headed primarily by Rav Auerbach and Rav Steinman. Now, there's a council of rabbis beyond them, but they are actually kind of duking it out to see who is the Gadol Hador, who is the chief, not the chief rabbi, it's a different thing, who is the main authority of what they're going to call authentic Torah. Right? The chief rabbi may or may not play by those rules based on the politics of the state. These guys are claiming to say, we don't care as much as the state. We want to go for Torah. And you're going to look at Steinemann and Auerbach, and they are having a major rift, and that is playing the field of a very volatile industry called Israeli politics.
That's for sure. Again, my guest this afternoon is Rabbi David Katz of Somazal.com. This is It Prophecy on Israel National Radio on Route Sheva, and the show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. Rabbi Katz, we were talking about the political side of rabbis. I'm curious, Torah-wise, Torah topics, Torah interests. What do these rabbis want from the Torah's perspective?
Yeah, so as we're talking about all the groups before, that was all political, right? Based on who like I am Haredi, well, I am Datu Lami, I am National Zion. So the factions themselves, as you said, are political factions, not Torah factions.
Right.
But inside every faction is a Torah discussion. One of them is Gerim, converts. Right, the Ger convert. Are we going to be hardcore? Are we going to be loose? As in Machmir and Makel in Torah yeshivish language. How do you say that in English?
You say strict, lenient or strict, yeah. Yeah,
strict or lenient. Do we want non-Jews coming in? Do we want to bring in more Ethiopians? Do we bring in lost Ephraimites from India? Do we bring in Canadians?
Now I'm going to get an email from someone from Canada.
Right,
Canada. No,
right. But who's coming in? To our converts, are they recognized in England, based in? Are our converts going to be recognized in Australia? Do our converts eat gefilte fish? And what is the hechsher of the gefilte fish? Is it going to be the Yerushalmi, or is it going to be? Right. But unfortunately, it does get to those points. And all these groups, now, the Haredi group is going to say, we know what they're going to say. The Talmud says X, Y, Z.
Right.
And the nationalist is going to say, we used to hold that way, and we have this new thing, blah, 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 new thing, blah, 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 new thing, you're old school, outdated. And this one's going to say, well, that you're a heretic, you're a kofar, you may be an Amalekite, you wear a kippah sruga, I don't even know if you're Jewish, but you make a great gefilte fish, and we can, yeah. So that's what goes on the Torah side. obviously, the ones claiming to be authentic Torah say the other guys are not authentic, and the ones that are progressive are saying Torah is of the times, and therefore you are not valid Torah if you are outdated. And that debate was Reform Judaism, Conservative Judaism, the Haskalah, the Enlightenment era. This is going back since the beginning of time, and now the stage is set with Israeli politics, and it matters because now the whole world is in fact watching these debates that used to take place, but on a worldwide scene and with the full scope of social media.
Yeah, we're the stars of the TV shows right now. It used to be kind of more behind the scenes, behind closed doors, but the whole world is watching these elections and watching what people say. Now, we're going to take a break in a few minutes, and we'll have more on the other side. A couple of quick announcements. First of all, this week we're going to have a lot of big interviews. I want everyone to tune in, especially on the YouTube channel. I'm going to have some interviews with Theodore Shubat, who is the son of Walid Shubat, the very famous former terrorist that is now converted to Christianity, talks about the war between Christianity and Islam. Very interesting stuff. We're going to have Rabbi Lazer Brody on Tuesday, and he's going to talk about having emunah in these times with ISIS and all these scary things that are going around the world. And we're going to have some other surprises later on in the week. I also want to take this time to talk about JApp, which is a app that I'm on. You can go to the website www.j-app.me, and you can listen to a lot of previous episodes I put up on that JApp, so check that out. And again, any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, it is a Jewish country. Email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to that. That's Messiah Hour on YouTube. When we come back, part 2, my interview with Rabbi David Katz of SoulMazal.com. This is a Prophecy on Israel National Radio.